What's up, everyone? I am so freaking hyped for fall. I absolutely love fall. I love doing all the stereotypical fall things. I like the sweatshirt weather. I like going to the pumpkin patches. I went to a cider mill last weekend, got a cider flight. It was fantastic. As I'm recording this video, it is October 1st. October, probably the greatest month of the year, maybe. I don't know, they're all pretty great. October's good though, it's a good one. I hope everyone is having a good October so far, even though we're not even one day into it. What do you think about pink too? I just got this little pink running overthrow. I'm a big runner and it's just a little extra chilly out there, so you kind of need the sleeves. I think pink looks good. Pink is good on men. Although I was avoiding pink like the plague a couple months ago. The Barbie movie came out, it was just like too much, you know? Not that I have anything against the Barbie movie or people that dressed up to wear pink. Saw the movie, loved it. I'm just like, I'm a contrarian, you know? I don't like doing what everyone else is doing. So pink was not cool for a while, for me. But that's just my annoying trait. Okay, I'm sure no one wants to hear more of this. They would rather just get into it and get into the horoscopes. Quick word about methodology. I use a Western tropical zodiacal system, and these horoscopes are based on rising signs, not sun signs, okay? This is pretty typical with most horoscopes. Rising signs, we can bring some house analysis into it. If you don't know your rising sign, Google natal birth chart, find your rising or ascendant sign, come back, watch the video. The other thing to keep in mind is that it's impossible to know what the exact degree of your rising sign is in a particular sign, right? Everyone watching this is gonna have a different one. Whether that's 0 degrees to 29 degrees, 59 minutes, things are gonna be a little bit different, but this is gonna be broadly applicable. I assume basically an ascendant at 15 degrees, right smack dab in the middle of each sign. So, we do our best, right? Any questions? You can't ask questions in a live video, although maybe I should go live sometime. That would be kind of cool. I've never done that before. Anyway, it's Libra season, so let's start with the sign of Libra. So let's just quickly touch on longer term influences going on right now that aren't specific to the month of October. The lunar nodal axis is currently in Libra and Aries, where it's been since the summer, since July of this year. The lunar nodal axis tells us where we need to move and where we need to grow and where we need to push ourselves in order to become more aligned with our purpose and our more authentic self. And the fact that the nodal axis is in Libra and Aries is taking on particular importance for you, Libra. The south node is in Libra, north node is in Aries. And this means that you might need to think about ways in which you've been dimming yourself or sacrificing yourself or just kind of blunting your desires and your kind of raw animalistic passion, maybe in the service of a relationship, of keeping the peace, of not wanting to rock the status quo, of trying to keep things consistent. Over the next few months, you're really being called to take just more divisive action. Think about that Aries energy, especially in the context of how you bring yourself to your interactions with other people, with partners, with close friends, with family members, one-on-one connections. Really think about this and think about moving away from your comfort zone. This hasn't been the easiest last year or so for you, Libra, right? You have Pluto in the 4th house, Saturn in the 5th house, and Neptune in the 6th house right now, which means that you're feeling a lot of decay and destruction and just a feeling of being unsettled in your home, maybe in your inner core, just a feeling that things are kind of breaking apart for reasons that you can't understand. And this is taking a toll on you. It's taking a toll on your ability to kind of just be light and have fun and be creative, right? I think you've just been a little bit kind of psychically bogged down, and Neptune in the 6th house, it's sort of like you're unclear how to really solve the problem. It's unclear what is really going on, what is needed for you on a day-to-day basis to kind of take you to the next phase, get you out of this rut a little bit. Stay patient, just kind of stay patient. Things will come. don't burn yourself out too much trying to charge ahead right now. There's a lot of planets in retrograde. Things are gonna happen, but sometimes you have to kind of let them come to you a little bit. Mercury has been transiting through your 12th house, which means that you've probably been somewhat self-reflective about all this going on, or maybe you're realizing certain things, you know, in the next couple of weeks that you haven't really realized, or you're seeing parts of yourself or parts of your life that maybe you haven't been giving enough attention to. Sometimes it's also just a time when we feel weird, right? Like it's hard for us to kind of communicate in the way that we're used to. Anything transiting through the 12th house is always just weird. You feel a little bit like you're in a bubble, or like a glass bubble, and there's something just, you can't quite get out. The TLDR, Libra, is there's a lot kind of weighing on you right now. There's a lot weighing on you. And just be okay with that. You have Mars now coming through in the first house through the month of October, and there's a lot of energy. So this is a weird combination, right? Where you have like a lot of hurry up energy, but a lot of other things in your chart are telling you to kind of just wait and sort of be patient and know when it's time to strike. Resist the urge to get overly frustrated at everything. Resist the urge to kind of just overheat, you know, with anger and having to be kind of stuck in place. Again, patience and calmness is really going to be your friend right now. Find some outlets to, you know, exercise your energy, and maybe, you know, think about an exercise routine a little bit more this month. I think that could be helpful. Try not to be too short with people. Realize that you're a little bit more, you know, liable to just fly off the handle. So be a little bit accountable for it, and try to cultivate a little bit of an awareness of some of the higher kind of trends that have happened over the last year. As Venus is moving through your 11th house, I want you to really think about, you know, what at a high level like worked really well this year, what didn't, and do it in a kind of a non-attached way. Try and do it without attaching a ton of emotion or blame or guilt or anger or desire. Just kind of watch, right? And also really think about what it is you truly value and what you truly love, right? What you love, not what the group loves, what other people kind of want. This is really about you thinking about what your priorities are this month and setting your yearly goals, right? Action for you and success for you this month isn't about trying to run through a brick wall. That's a waste of energy. Rather, it's about really thinking and carefully planning and setting strong goals and intentions, and being very mindful about it. And then, you know, once the sea's kind of clear, you are ready to sprint. You're gonna be fantastic. But take this mindset into the month, and I think it's gonna serve you well. Scorpio, this month is a little bit of a doozy, and it's a doozy on what has been a bit of a challenging time for you recently as well. Professionally, this should be a pretty favorable time for you. Venus is crossing over your midheaven into your 10th house. You should be getting some kind of recognition for the work that you do, some increased popularity, just generally working and putting yourself out there. And any projects that involve the public, any kind of public endeavors, all that should be going pretty well. It's always kind of nice to feel popular for a little bit or to get recognized. Having said that, it's really juxtaposed with what looks like a not so great situation at the home front. There's a lot of limitation for you at home and in your responsibilities at home. Maybe there's been an uptick or just some increased stress. It's been hard for you to just kind of relax and feel renewed at home. There's something going on there. You know, whether that's with a romantic relationship, an intimate partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. There's also a lot of energy being focused on that part of your life. Uranus is transiting through your 7th house, so for at least the past year, there might have been some surprises or some big changes here, for better and for worse, possibly. With transits from slow-moving planets, it's easy to get scared or bent out of shape, but it's not really the best approach to have. We have to realize that there's a lot of things that are out of our control. We can only really kind of decide what we want to do with that. Jupiter is also going to be spending a lot of time right on your descendant. It crossed your descendant, it's currently retrograding back. And so whatever happens in this sphere with your relationships, this is going to be a real opportunity for growth for you, whether that sounds good or it sounds terrifying. You have to understand that it's going to help you expand. It's going to ultimately serve you. And in some ways, it's going to end up bringing you closer to what's really well suited for you. Having said that, this is also a month where your Sun and your Mars are going to be transiting through your 12th house. Transits of the Sun through the 12th house kind of suck. Like, you feel like everything is collapsing. You feel like you're a failure. You feel in a lot of ways not like yourself. Like, your normal kind of spontaneous reactions or your sense of humor, your personality, like for some reason it's just not able to come out in the same way. I would say the best way to describe a feeling during a 12th house Sun transit is just like weary. Like, everything kind of just seems scarier and you're just in weird headspaces. And I think the important thing to know is this is temporary. You know, you're going to want to fight through this. Mars going through the 12th house, you're going to want to kind of power through, or, you know, it's a little bit hard to say. The important thing to really know here is that this month for you is not a time to push forward. It is a time where you are going to need to sort of reflect on ways in which you might have been, I don't know, sabotaging yourself, or, you know, thinking about if you have any role to play or any contributions with regard to, you know, what's going on at home, what's going on in your one-to-one relationships. What are the actual things that you need to be more aware of to incite that growth, right? Because things happening, or, you know, a breakup, or, you know, something not going right in our romantic life or with a partner, those things alone don't make you grow. It's becoming more aware and realizing things and learning from this process of trial and error, which helps you grow. And so I would direct most of your energy and your will towards being aware of that, but without being so self-critical about it. And that's really hard. The 12th house transits are hard because I think there's a lot of self-criticism that comes into play, and it's hard to just genuinely and lovingly take care of yourself. With that in mind though, you know, and armed with this, maybe you can be a little bit better at that. Just the point of this is you need to kind of just bear down and recognize this month, you know, things are kind of brewing, and it's not necessarily the time to fight forward. You need to just kind of take everything as it comes, realize that passages are going to be blocked a little bit. Action is not going to be super effective right now. If you're aware of that, it's going to be a little bit less hard, a little bit less frustrating. Sagittarius, what's really emphasized for you this time, and what I'm seeing, is that you're in a long multi-year process of radically changing what it is you value in life at the most foundational level. Maybe you thought you wanted X, Y, and Z. You wanted a house, a partner, and kids, or, you know, you were highly driven to pursue a career that was very ideologically focused and very ideologically aligned with who you are. Or, you know, maybe you really cared about just material security, or maybe the opposite. Maybe you didn't care so much and now you're caring a whole lot more. This is a long-term process for you. It's not just limited to the month of October. But what's going on in the month of October for you is that you're becoming a lot more aware of the specific beliefs and philosophical systems that are kind of underlying that change in value. This is a great month for you to go out and explore and talk to people and meet new people and push yourself outside of your sort of intellectual comfort zone. Maybe you don't totally even realize that you're going through this shift in values. Maybe you're still kind of in it. And, you know, I think what I'm seeing is that this is a good time for you to just expose yourself to different ideas. It's going to help you settle on kind of what you really want. At the same time, this is a month when there's a lot of emphasis for you on wanting to also know and project what it is you know and what you value, and project and accomplish goals, like whether that's professionally or publicly. Like you do kind of want to barrel ahead. You want to see progress, you want to see recognition, but you might not know this, or you might be very aware of this. You might kind of be doing this still to be kind of pleasing other people, right? Maybe you're still sort of pursuing goals that are, again, handed down to you from someone else, that aren't really totally aligned with what you actually want. And so while a desire to kind of go out and manifest and do a good job at work and be very sort of publicly successful, while that might be sort of emphasized for you that month, remember that you're in a much larger context of really needing to get in touch with just you and what you feel and what you really believe. And you need to realize that when you seek what gives you personally, what gives you safety and comfort and a sense of feeling at home, and what like things you do that genuinely you want to do for fun, like without anyone else's thoughts or values or approvals or disapprovals, like focus on what makes you feel good at home, what excites you. Like what kind of things would you do if, you know, there was no audience? And what would you do for fun if you didn't have to worry about anything else, or there weren't any other opportunity costs? Like try and focus, you know, continue to focus some energy there. I think that's really going to be very enlightening as you kind of continue this multi-year journey, and continue to be open to really nurturing the things that you want to nurture. Maybe that's new hobbies, maybe that's new creative endeavors, maybe it's becoming an artist, maybe it's deciding to have children when you didn't think you wanted to. Who knows? Hopefully this is helpful. Capricorn, your relationships, your close relationships with others, your social contacts are bringing incredibly intense experiences for you this month. Sometimes some transformational type experiences, intense one-on-one encounters. There could also be some issues coming up for you this month related to other people's resources, other people's money. Of course, things have been pretty intense for you for some time. You currently have Pluto sitting in your first house, which means that your identity is being kind of stripped away and it's being deconstructed, and you're in the midst of a massive, massive change that you didn't really ask for. You only kind of get to decide how you're going to react to. Sun and Mars in the 9th house could indicate that there's some kind of like legal proceeding going on, some legal related to other people's money or some money, and could be related to a death with Pluto in the first house. I'm not totally sure. I'm not going to speculate. Even though I'm speculating a little bit. There are also a lot of changes for you going on at home, but this also could mean that, you know, there's a lot of change going on in your sort of inner personality, in your subconscious, in your core, right, in your most private self. Not only change in the sense of both kind of upheaval, right, just some really rapid changes, and also really growth, right? You're really growing in this area, and it could just be that there's a lot of balls in the air for you right now. And this next month is a time when you're going to become a lot more aware of kind of what kind of beliefs you've been holding, what philosophical kind of approaches you've taken to get to the place where you are right now. And it's meant to shine light in that area. Ultimately, you need to think about how perhaps some of those beliefs and philosophies have pulled you away from being able to just connect with people in the rawest sense. Like regardless of, you know, what type of person they are, what type of person you are, just are you able to connect with people in your life? And sometimes the devil is in the details, right? And it's in moments, and it's in the present moment. And you know, think about ways, you know, this kind of larger cycle for you might be a time when you need to reevaluate kind of maybe how your beliefs have been taking you away from that present moment, from that ability to connect. And I think you're going to, with that Venus in the 8th house, you're going to have a significant social encounter or an existing relationship, something is going to sort of bring out something intense, and it's going to kind of continue to keep drawing you to that lesson. Aquarius. Last year and the last couple of years, you just went through an amazing transformation, completed a really big cycle. Saturn crossed over your Ascendant and probably caused you to really radically change, how you present yourself, how you're dressed, your style. Maybe really changed how you think about yourself. Maybe you found out all these other different parts of yourself that are different, or just maybe something was stripped away. And this process isn't completely over for you, but most of the crux of the change has passed. Now this month, relationships, romantic relationships, love, your close friendships, close relationships, I'm talking about your one-on-one interactions, right? It's going to be the focus of this month. So if you're with someone, that relationship is going to kind of have a lot of energy. It's going to kind of take center stage this month. If you don't, maybe you'll meet someone. And at the very least, relationships are really going to be on your mind for this month of October. And typically this is good, for the most part. Sometimes it's a little bit more neutral. This is coupled with the Sun and Mars and eventually Mercury going through your 8th house. And so this month is going to be like a little mini period of pretty big transformation, actually. And I think a lot of it is going to be triggered by a relationship or by another person. You might find yourself becoming more partnership oriented, and that is actually causing you to realize more things about your psyche, or cause you to kind of come to new realizations. Or maybe it's a more overt pressure from another person that's really forcing you to consider, the influence of another person. There's definitely some intensity though, right? And there's definitely going to be some pressure to change. There's transformational energy in the air. And it's not totally clear how it's gonna happen, but this is something that you should be open to and be aware of. Aside from Saturn being in your 1st house, you're in a much longer and broader process of Pluto going through your 12th house, which is your kind of your subconscious, your unconscious insides. Your subconscious is really kind of rumbling. There's some tectonic shifts going on inside you that you're not even really aware of yet. And as some of these faster planets transit through the Zodiac, different areas of your life are going to have a light shown on them, and it's all kind of contributing to that much larger process. And you're not going to totally see those huge changes until a few years from now, but this time there's going to be a relationship. It's going to be intense. There's going to be some lessons, and you should really embrace them, because this is a time for you to make changes that are going to actually benefit you. Pisces, this next coming month is sort of like the aftermath of the Venus retrograde. Very likely, there were some major relationship issues that came to light during Venus retrograde, and past month of September really brought them out into the forefront. It was a big focus of you. You probably spent a lot of energy thinking about that. I'm not sure what exactly happened during Venus retrograde. Could be a situation where you realize that you may not have been prioritizing yourself enough. Maybe your values changed, how you valued relationships somehow became a little bit more clear to you. It's even possible there could have been some like infidelity or a shorter term, more impulsive romance. If not infidelity or anything like that, maybe it's just you had a really intense, short-lived relationship experience with someone, and it's not lasting, or it didn't last, or it's not clear that it's going to last. And whatever happened though, it's not totally important. This past month, you kind of hacked it out. You probably had to spend a lot of energy kind of dealing with that aftermath, either, spending time focusing on that relationship or focusing on the issues in your current relationship that like Venus retrograde brought out. And there's probably a lot of frustration and a lot of energy invested in it. And now in October, you find yourself like separating a little bit from those issues. Not necessarily that they're not still applicable, but that, the crux of that focus and that energy, it's kind of dissipating. Like things have kind of settled down, however they ended up, and becoming less about the things. You're less affected by the things that happened, and more you're focusing this month on what you decided to do about that, right? So what is the plan going forward? How are you nurturing your relationships? How are you nurturing your current relationship? But really this month boils down to how are you operationalizing what was decided? And it really boils down to just doing the little things, right? This is not going to be a super topsy-turvy or super exciting month for you in terms of more external events. It's more a time for you to really, again, operationalize and internalize some of the lessons and create change in your life if you want to, based on what you learned. So, there's retrograde, kind of truth coming to light, awareness. There was like reaction to the awareness. That was like last month. Now it's like, what are you doing with that awareness on the inside? How are you going about your life any differently, if at all? That's going to be a little bit the theme of your October.